Hello, can you hear me?
Good idea.
You're recording.
Mm-hmm.
Not quite 6 yet. Stop looking at me like that.
We want this meeting to last faster than the last one.
Yeah, yeah, no kidding.
Some time I've got last one.
That was a marathon. There we go. 6 o'clock. Let's get started. We'll call city council regular business meeting to order. This is Thursday, November 20th, 2025 at 6 p.m. Kaylin, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Baker,
Here.
Councilmember Brown, Councilmember Cool,
Here.
Councilmember Livingston,
Here.
Councilmember Meineke,
Here.
Mayor Phillips.
I am here as well, so we will move on. Item number 2 is pledge of allegiance. Would you please rise and say the pledge of allegiance with me?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, item number 3 is approval of the agenda. Would anybody like to move any of the consent agenda items to the regular agenda? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion.
Second. Motion by Baker, seconded by Meineke. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same. That motion carries. Item number 4 is welcome guests and public comment. Thank you for being here tonight. We will go ahead and open up the dais at this point in time. If you'd like to address council for any non-agenda items, you can get a 3-minute time limit. Realize we can't take action on those tonight because they're not on the agenda. And that would be a violation of open meetings law. Also, we'd like to comment on any item in the consent agenda. Now would be the time. So anybody, any takers? Hearing none, we will move on. Item number 5 is consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion. Second.
Okay, motion by Minneke, seconded by Baker. Kalen, would you call the roll?
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Livingston,
Yes.
Minneke,
Yes. All right, that motion carries. Item 6. Old and new business for consideration, discussion, and possible action. Item A is a public hearing regarding an amendment to the Norwalk zoning ordinance to conduct amendments related to gates and barriers. We're opening this, we'll open up public hearing at 6:02 PM, so we're not quite ready to hold the public hearing. We're gonna leave it open and continue the hearing at our next meeting or a future meeting. Item 7B is removal from table, the consideration of the first reading of an ordinance amending chapter 176 subdivision regulations by amending section 17608 design standards, 17609 construction of improvements, and et cetera. So this action is to remove the item from the table. I'll provide more explanation on the next agenda item.
Moved.
Second. Okay, so I got a motion by Baker, a seconded by Minneke. Kalen, would you please call roll?
Councilmember Cool,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Minneke,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
All right, that motion carries. Item 7C. It's first reading of an ordinance amending chapter 176 subdivision regulations by amending section 176.08 design standards, 176.09 construction of improvements, providing for amended road construction requirements and warranty and maintenance bond requirements for public infrastructure. So the details of this change were discussed at our last meeting. Just a quick recap, we're changing our subdivision ordinance to require subdrains and granular subsurface for all new streets. I believe there was consensus from council at our last meeting on this topic. However, council wanted to add in some wording to address a phase-in where the city would share the expense of added costs of those developments that are already in progress. And I think we'll discuss that tonight. Another issue that was brought up was the language around the maintenance bond. I believe Luke Nelson has received an email from the HBA that indicated that they may not be here tonight, but they plan on listening to what's said tonight, and they might be back at our next meeting for any additional tweaks needed to the ordinance. They wanted to assure council that while they are not present, they are very engaged and interested in this agenda item. So I'm going to turn it over to Wayne, Luke, and Jim.
I'll start. I'll just give you an update. We did make a few changes to the ordinance. On the public works side of things, we eliminated a requirement for a joint payment of a joining type for a specific type of payment. It's something that'll lessen the cost. It's something that we put in there. We may require it, these dowel joints, but it's not going to be immediately required. We had in there, and Jim could probably talk to you more about the phasing in, or Luke Paris can do that. I do want to just mention a few things. I went to a conference last Thursday named about municipal streets, and interestingly enough, there was a presentation by the city of Clive, who in 2017 undertook a pavement study, and because of that, they implemented higher standards back in 2017. They went through and showed a bunch of pictures of 3-year-old to 15-year-old pavement, both with higher standards and without, and the difference was remarkable. The number of cracks in the traditional standards versus the new ones, I didn't hardly have any. Their study was from HR Green. They went through how a $2,500 initial investment saved over $9,000 later. So it's almost a 4-to-1 cost savings. And the reason the granular backfill is so important is concrete needs a uniform base. You can't have, if you have soft spots from irrigation or just soft spots from varying glacial till, which is what we have, or sand, if you have varying support, that's bad for concrete. It can't handle that, the stresses from that. So that's why the subdrain and the sub base is so important. It gets rid of that moisture. That's all I had in my notes tonight. Happy to answer any questions, but the other issues, I think maybe Jim could answer that, the timing and the cost share.
Yeah, I can talk about that. Not cost share, but under the bonding and stuff like that, they were worried about requiring a single bond produced by the developer. The amendments that I've made allows for single or multiple bonds. So it allows the subcontractors to turn in bonds. The bonding items, because they also indicated concerns. I heard concerns about having to bond for design. There's resistance to that, and I think from my research and everything like that, I agree that bonding companies don't like to bond for design because design is more the engineering versus the construction of it all. So, under the guarantee requirements, I still have the developer warranting the design of it. But under the bonding, I've taken out the bonding requirement for design, so, the bonds are still gonna bond for everything else for workmanship, installation, construction, all those construction related items. And it's gonna allow for either a single bond by the developer or multiple bonds. By the sub. But in either case, it does make it clear that the developer is still the main responsible person for it. And they're the ones who are giving us the infrastructures. They are the business person that's building the infrastructure. And though that was the previous requirements, it wasn't clear in our code completely. And I want to make it clear that the developers understand that when they are here building and they are dedicating improvements to the city, they are the ones who are handling the warranty and the care of it afterwards. Their subs are still their responsibility after construction's done. Then as far as implementation of it, what we have on there is, this will apply, the new standards will apply to all preliminary plats that are approved after January 1st of 2026. So this coming January 1st, if there's a preliminary plat that is approved, after that time, the new standards will apply. Or if a final plat is approved after January 1st, a year from that, the standards will apply. The reason why I have it staggered like that is that, there are some developments in here where they put in a preliminary plat for a large development and it's not gonna be built out in a year, it might not be built out in 5 years. So, we had to hit some sort of limitation on that too. There are some that would meet the first requirement of preliminary plat being approved. But also we have that tail end, the one that we also want to construct it. If it's not constructed by the end of next year, well, then they're gonna start complying with the new requirements, is what this code says.
And that seems to make sense because they only do the street when they're ready to develop the homes on
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
So we really won't have a purpose to try to do the backfill. That's a bad term with when we're talking about drainage and stuff. To make up the difference.
I think the only thing that I've heard discussed is not so much making a difference, but in this next year, there will be some preliminary plats that get approved as final plats, meaning that the roads get built within the next year that our new standards are not going to apply to. I think the councils could certainly discuss that if the council and city thinks it's important enough to have these higher standards, maybe the city.
So the streets aren't in yet.
The streets aren't in yet in our code. So there's gonna be certain streets that they aren't in yet, and our new change in ordinance will not require them to have the higher standards. The city could say, you know what, even though we're not requiring the builder to do that or the developer to do that, we're gonna put in the money for the higher standards. We think it's important enough that we get that going right away. But that certainly isn't, I've heard that.
Is that a sparse population? How many streets are we talking about? If they meant the exact criteria, all of them, how many streets would we be dealing?
I think, Luke, didn't you like 1.5 miles?
1.3 miles. It's
See,
based on
that's
the
what I
past-
like.
Yeah,
I like that.
Elliot put together some information based on the past few years, kind of an average per year is about 1.3 miles of streets. And we even used some rough estimates of what an equivalent cost would be for the city. 100% of that cost difference, I recall, was around $450,000 for 1.3 miles of streets. Just as an idea. So if it was for everything, all 1.3 miles in a given year, the city would just have to be willing to dedicate approximately $450,000 to cover that cost.
Sounds like we can get that back.
It sounds like, I hate to call it investment, but it'll pay back, has a payback to it. For Jean to figure out, right?
It would be, keep in mind she's online, so she
Yeah.
is listening to me.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's not necessarily a suggestion or in this ordinance right now, but it is something that council was inclined to, could discuss it in the future.
Yeah,
Is there a possibility we could get a few extra, preliminary plots? Trying to get crammed in the month of December?
Probably not.
No,
That doesn't occur, right?
no, I don't think so. I mean,
That'd be really pushing it.
I,
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure.
There's not a lot of-
75.
not a lot of areas I think that I can think of that even be possible. Because usually we have some
Good.
kind of rezoning that comes through first and then,
Okay,
you know,
good. I like. That's all. I'm just worried about unintended.
Are we waiting on any preliminary plats for, that we are expecting to come in? Not new, right, not new discussions, but preliminary plats that we're expecting to come in between now and the first of the year.
no, we don't have anything that I can think of that's been zoned and then, you know, in active review.
Okay,
I don't think any of our other review people think that either, so.
We have one
Keep
under,
in mind that the motion
kind of
may
in
not
review right now.
doing any preliminary plat.
it's actually a new preliminary plat, isn't it? Blooming Heights, 5, isn't it?
Oh, yes, the rezoning of Blooming Heights 5. Thank you. That's just the little like 20 unit subdivision north of Blooming Heights. Thank you, Tony. So there would be one, but that's probably 300, 400 feet of road. So,
Yeah, Lindsay just reminded us that the motion at our last meeting was to delay any preliminary plats until this issue is resolved.
Right.
okay.
so it covers that.
I do think it's worthy of discussion though, with our existing preliminary plats and the timing where these new standards would apply to those. I think by the way it's written right now, it'd be a year from this January. And I will add that most of the plats that we review and approve are constructed in phases. And most of those last more than a year in terms of complete build out of that preliminary plat. Not just one, so this, so if there's something relatively new that's just maybe, just completed the first phase. And there's multiple phases, in the future. I would say that there's a good chance that they won't be constructed within the next year.
Yeah. So, for example, to that Saddle Ridge, the home show site for next year and everything, that's an 80-acre development. The first prelim plat was roughly half of it. We would expect them to do the second half in phase 2, maybe get it broken into 3 phases. So 2 and 3 on the back half of it. Likely they won't start the process of, we might start reviewing that next construction set next fall. Maybe because of this, it'll cause them to pull trigger a little bit faster. But usually from normal development, we would see a 2-year lag probably in that scenario. I mean, certainly we've got some developments with prelim plats that have been going on for 5-6 years. As in, I mean, Howland Point is a massive development that we've approved a lot of. So
I know there has to be those cutoff dates. And I know that from the city's perspective, it's critical that we know we want to make this part of those ultimate development costs in the future. Where I really understand the perspective of the developers is I put myself in the shoes of just operating the city when the state legislature comes in and makes some kind of a legislative change that impacts us midway through our budget year. And it makes it very challenging when you think you've got everything planned out, you think you have your budget planned, and then somebody changes the game on you. Where I have a lot of compassion for the developers, if they put together a pro forma of what 80 acres is going to develop like. And I do understand that if we're changing the game in the middle of that, they didn't take that into account when they bought the property and as far as what their total budget on the project. So I do understand that there's that. I don't know how you resolve all that, other than we're trying to balance out how long it would take and maybe a cost share. I just understand that perspective.
Then on the offside, we said that they even admitted that it's only approximately 1.5% possibly of a lot price.
Yeah.
The additional cost. It doesn't seem material to me anyway.
Well, we could certainly take action in this tonight and weigh what we want to do as far as that transition goes. After the fact, right?
Yes, in fact, Ed, that's an excellent point. Mayor, maybe you were gonna bring this up already. This is the first reading. There's 3 readings. The Home Builders Association expressed some concern over any future readings being waived, and I explained that, yeah, the mayor said that likely that would be heavily discouraged. So this is just the first reading of 3, so there's more time for us to focus some time and attention on that cost share, that transition period.
By the same token, I hope that delaying future readings would also be heavily discouraged. Right, I don't have any problem not asking for a waiver of future readings, but I also would have big problem with further tabling or delaying any future readings. I truly appreciate what you said, Luke, about budgets and all of that stuff, but the city is drowning in reconstruction of roads because of the way that they are constructed. And we have got to put our citizens and our taxpayers first. And by continuing to allow the roads to be constructed in the manner that they are, and then in 5 years, 7 years, before some of the developments are even fully built out, we're rebuilding roads or resurfacing or doing repair work, that is not fair to the city or to the taxpayers.
Right. Well said.
Well said.
Would it be helpful? I think we could go through all of our active developments and do a status for you all for the next meeting of when the prelim plat was originally approved, where they're at in phase development, and how much we think is, we could give you some data of how much is out there right now that might potentially be something that comes up next week. So you could just get a kind of status of the entire community's subdivision development.
I would
And
appreciate that.
okay, we'll do that.
Mayor, all joking aside, that with Jean finding those dollars, this would give us a chance to work with her too and say, hey, what would that look like?
Right.
Even over the remainder of this fiscal year into next fiscal year. Because likely that might impact Wayne's budget as well.
I would like to
Done.
read something very short for the council from our students design manual that we've adopted too, just that for, kind of parallels what Wayne has said and further explains the importance of the foundation analysis for pavements, just so the council understands that, we're not really standing alone on this and talks about the importance of this. So just a couple sentences here. Historically, municipalities have resorted to a one-size-fits-all approach to constructing standard pavement thicknesses for certain types of roadways without regard to traffic volumes or subgrade conditions. That's probably in part true for the city historically. Engineers need to examine their agency standards for pavement foundation support system based on good engineering practices and the level of service they desire for the life of their pavements. Designs that improve the foundation will extend the pavement life, improve the level of service throughout the life of the pavement, and provide more economical rehabilitation strategies at the end of the pavement's life. Although the initial cost to construct a pavement will undoubtedly be higher than placing the pavement on natural subgrade, the overall life cycle costs will be greatly improved. And that's from our SUDAS design manual that we've adopted. Many cities within the metro area as well as the state have adopted as well. Another comment that came up at our previous meeting from a representative was pavements should be designed for a 30-year design life. Well, SUDAS in the SUDAS design manual recommends a 50-year design analysis period for pavement thickness design. So again, that's what we require. And we didn't pull that out of the sky. That's the recommendations from our design.
Good. Yeah, thanks for that.
Do you have any public comments?
I wasn't going to. Since Luke brought up our development, I can explain a little bit about the timing of it. Dave Harmeyer, Vista Real Estate, 2400 86th Street, Suite 24. We know as developers that
we need to help improve the street quality that you guys are experiencing. So I don't think anybody's arguing that. From the timing perspective in Saddle Ridge, we put in 61 lots in the first plat. The second plat will probably be 80. It was originally preliminary platted for 85 or 6. We're probably going to make them a little larger in some of the areas. So it took us from construction plan approval 15 months to build the 61 lots. And we did the rough grading for the whole site. So we have that advantage in plat 2. But it would probably take, from talking to CDA, 3 months to get through the plan approval process for us and then build it. So even if we wanted to build it, we could not meet your time frame by the end of next year. I don't want to build it that fast. So we wouldn't race to do it. And I don't even think it's possible. That's a larger plat. So we tend to build larger plats. But we wouldn't be able to meet that time frame, but we certainly wouldn't object to when we do this to meeting your new design standard, particularly if you're willing to help with that incremental cost. And it is a bigger deal than 1.5% in the cost. From our perspective, Hubble had numbers, but from our perspective, it's probably to costs more like 5 to 6%. And
To cost, but not to retail.
well, there's
I
gonna
was referring to retail.
but every cost we mark up. So if you're gonna increase our costs, we're gonna put our margin in it. That's how we have to do it to run our business. So in our development, could we potentially capture that cost and be able to mark it up? Probably, if I'm being honest, because it's a higher end price point. But most of the other developers in the community aren't gonna have that advantage. So it'll be a tougher nut for them to swallow. And I think from a developer's perspective, to Luke's point, we made decisions. We know that there's potentially ordinance changes that could come in the middle of doing things, but this is a big one. But we're not arguing that things need to be done better. So I struggled last time I spoke about the bonding issue. I'm still struggling with how that mechanically would work. But again, I think we didn't want to sit here and argue and put all our points on the table. And we just got this information. We actually have a meeting tomorrow as a group at 11 o'clock to kind of talk about this ordinance. And so we will be coming back to talk about it. But the timing is a problem. And again, from a practical standpoint, Saddle Ridge, we could not, even if we wanted to speed it up, we couldn't make it happen. So even with perfect weather, we couldn't make it happen. And I don't want to do it because what'll happen is we'll sell the edges of that development first, which is what is happening with the one on the golf course side and then the creek side. I'll have all the middle lots the way this is designed. And so then I'll end up with a whole bunch of middle lots because it runs all the way down into the second phase. And that could create problems from a marketing perspective from us. And it's also not staging the construction in areas. It spreads it out over 80 acres instead of going, 35 acres and 40 acres. And so it condenses, people are involved in the construction activity longer than we like to see them be. So that's why ideally for us, our plan was to likely start this next fall and try to complete it into 27 in our second. And then it would probably take up to 3 years to sell through our lots if it goes well. So that's just perspective from what Luke brought up.
All right, thanks.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Andy Bergeron, 3504 Autumn Sage Circle. So I watched the replay last week. Home Builders Association brought up some questions around responsibility of pumper trucks and other things and how that fits into bond issues.
Mm-hmm.
Did we talk any more about like responsibility as it relates to bond issues? And then maybe a comment to Dave's question, like if it's 1.5% or 3% or 5%, like inflation has changed dramatically over the years. Like is 1% or 3% really that big of an issue? Like you guys got to plan for other things too, right? And so we're living in a crazy world right now where inflation is crazy. And so like I get Luke's comment, like I feel bad for them, but we also have to plan for the unknowns across our businesses too. Right? So.
Thank you.
A little bit on your question, Andy, change that we have in there. I think I heard a worry because we do have the potential extension of the bonding period upon repairs. And I heard some worries, after talking to the council members, talked to some people and, some other roundabouts. No one's really talked to me directly on it, but, I went in there and tried to define more what a major repair is instead, because I heard the words like, okay, if we go in and have to seal a crack, does that mean we have to give another 4 years? Well, no, that's not the intention. I mean, the intention is if they have a major rebuild on a road where they got to remove a bunch of concrete and completely rebuild it, well, then yeah, the engineer has the authority to say, yeah, we need another 4 years on this. So it still has that renewal of 4 years, but it's only related to major repairs or reconstruction. We've got, definitions of that in there. So that is that. As far as the worry about, pumper truck breaking the curb or something like that, I mean, I don't address that in here. That doesn't fit under a major repair. And, right now we don't address that either. So, it's kind of hard to allocate blame as far as, what happens with negligence on the road as you're going versus a flaw in the construction or the materials or something relating to the building of it. So it is, there still is a gray area there. I mean, I could see somebody saying, okay, why should I have to rebuild that panel? Because you just had the biggest pumper truck in the metro area sitting on there for 2 days and it cracked it. And, I don't think you should be responsible for it. Well, we'd have to address that the same way as we do now and figure that out. But and it just, you'd have to look at the totality of the circumstances on something like that.
I will mention that the other part of that, talking about those, any type of a cost share, one of the ideas that I've been mulling over is any type of a cost share that takes place, if it extends past that first year, based on the information that Dave brought up, perhaps it's a phase out. Maybe it's a higher cost share participation within that first year, but in the second year that starts to ratchet down. What that percentage looks like, I don't know, but that idea that the longer we go, the less participation we would have.
Maybe we can talk to Gene about that.
Yeah, and I've got that on my list to go over those, like what Luke Paris said, to start to analyze what are the outstanding projects out there, and then work through Gene to find out what that looks like.
Any other public comment? Can I get a motion to approve first reading?
Motion.
Second.
All right, so I got a motion by Baker, seconded by Cool. Any further discussion?
I had a question.
Yep.
Right toward the end of below our estimated cost savings, and it's the number 3. It just gets over to $3,986 for adjacent lot. What does that mean? It's on the ordinance.
Appreciation of the street.
Oh, no, that's from, excuse me. Does that just mean the street?
It's the number of lots along the street. Is that what adjacent
Well,
lots mean?
Luke, that was,
Where you're looking.
yeah, I think we assume more than 3 blocks and a certain number of lots per block. That's if we got 15, or yeah, if we extended the life 10 or 15 more years, that was the savings.
per lot.
Hmm.
Right, the adjacent threw me off a little bit, but just per lot along the street.
Yeah, meaning not
Jason, on the
not
street.
all lots within the entire development, or just those that are fronting on that street. For example, when we tried to look, Wayne, what I recall is when we were looking at several maps of existing developments, counting homes, you have corner lots, and then you've got a street that goes one direction. We didn't count the streets that were off of that main street. It was just looking at linear in one section.
This is fresh, threw me off a little bit.
Galen, would you call a roll?
So member Livingston,
Yes.
Minneke,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Item 7D is public hearing regarding the Legacy Area Street Rehabilitation Project. We'll open up the public hearing at 6:31 PM. So Colonial Parkway and the Circle need some rehabilitation work done. This is being done to improve the condition of the streets and also to correct some of the pedestrian ramps in the area. Wayne, I'll turn it over to you.
Yep, you mentioned it, Mayor. The project involves street patching, sidewalk improvements, and pavement striping on Colonial Circle and Colonial Parkway. Probably the most significant work you're gonna see is on Colonial Parkway, just off the highway, where Legacy has that landscaping, some of that beautification area. That street's pretty poor condition. We're gonna have to, all the patching will be done with the lane closures, maintaining traffic, except for that portion of Colonial Parkway down there, south of Greg Young. That will be shut down. There will be a detour route set up when that work occurs. And we're gonna have changeable message boards up, alerting people 5 days ahead of time of the detour coming forward. And we'll of course talk to the Greg Young when we're out there. We did receive 7 bids. They're above and below the engineer's estimate, so right where they should have been. Low bid was by TK Concrete. They've done 2 projects for us this year. They're doing another one next spring, our subdrain retrofit on High Road. Everything's been going great with them on our past projects, so we don't anticipate problems. On our recent past projects, we don't anticipate problems on these ones.
All right. Kaylin, have we received any oral or written comments on this?
No.
Any public comment? Hearing none, we'll close public hearing at 6:33 PM. Item 7E is resolution approving plan specifications, form of contract, and estimate of cost for the Legacy Area Street Rehabilitation Project. So we just had a public hearing for this project. This is the first of 3 resolutions needed to get the project launched. On October 16th, council passed a resolution that approved the preliminary plan, specs, form of contract, and estimate for this project. This resolution is the final approval for all of those. Wayne, what do you got?
Nothing else.
All right. Any discussion from council?
Motion? Oh, sorry.
All right. No, you got it. Motion by Livingston, seconded by Baker. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Caitlin, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Meinke,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Wolf,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yeah,
All right, motion carries. Item 7F is a resolution awarding contract for the Legacy Area Street Rehabilitation Project. So this is second of 3 resolutions needed to start the project. This resolution awards the contract to TK Concrete for $268,215. Wayne, anything else to add?
No, sir.
All right, question, discussion from council?
motion?
Motion by Livingston, seconded by Meineke. Any further discussion? Kaylin, would you please call roll?
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Cool,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes,
Meineke,
Yes. All right, motion carries. Item 7G is resolution approving contract and bond for the Legacy Area Street Rehabilitation Project. So this is the 3rd and final resolution needed to get the project rolling. This resolution approves the contract and indicates how the city is going to pay TK Concrete for their work. Wayne, anything to add?
No, sir.
Any discussion or question from council?
Motion.
Second. Okay, motion by Baker, seconded by Meineke. Kaylin, would you please call roll?
Councilmember Cool,
Yes.
Livingston,
yes,
Meineke,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Item 7H is resolution approving the minimum assessment agreement and 5-year standard partial commercial tax abatement for DeMoss Orthopedic Centers. I'm gonna let Holly explain this one.
So last year, the state implemented a new law that requires public bodies to have a minimum assessment agreement attached to any tax abatement applications. So prior to this, the tax abatement applications would just come through, I think, on consent, as long as the business, the development qualified for it. And now we have to add these minimum assessment agreements along with it. So now you will see this, each time a new tax abatement comes through, you'll see this with it. And it's just a standard minimum assessment form that will look the same for basically every project because it's very simple when it comes to these types of abatement projects. And we put in the minimum assessment as 5 million with this because with the development for DMOS, they're projecting their value to be around 5.4, 5.5 million. So 5 million is a safe number for that. And it would just last the lifetime of the abatement, which is 5 years. And the abatement is just our standard sliding scale 5-year for commercial.
Questions for Holly? Motion.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion by Meineke, seconded by Baker. Any public comment? Hearing none. Caitlin, would you please call roll?
Councilmember Livingston,
Yes.
Minneke,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Cool,
Yes.
All right, that motion carries. Item 7I is a resolution approving the site plan of Affinity Credit Union. So Affinity Credit Union planning to build just to the south of Hyper Energy Bar. Luke, I'll let you take it from here.
Yep. South of Hyper Energy Bar, surrounded by Cherry Parkway to the west, High Road to the south, and Hughes Drive to the east. So it's kind of that last little piece there of our highway fronted ground in Hughes Crossing, Century Crossing. The site is a credit union for Affinity Credit Union. Has the appropriate amount of parking, 20 parking stalls provided. Code would require 10. Facades meet our facade requirements. There is a request for a parking waiver for the site related to the southwestern area of the parking lot up against Cherry. When we did our Cherry Road project, that right of way changed a bit, and the last kind of parking stall there is 10 feet. The corner of it's 10 feet from the right of way. Code usually requires 15 feet. We're, from a staff perspective, okay with that waiver circled on the screen there. We did have some discussions about access to High Road. Staff had initially talked with the project applicants that we wanted to propose just having access onto Hughes Drive for these lots. That is some discussions we'd had for this area long before we knew what users would be. There is one space that kind of fits the SUDAS requirements, which is what is shown on the site plan along High Road. We just had a lot of concerns about the traffic in that area and the number of folks at the fields and everything, and felt it would be best to keep it to one access on Hughes Drive, though that is an allowed location. P&Z reviewed all that information, made the suggestion that if it was a right in, right out, they would feel more comfortable with it. And so the applicant has made that change and included some hardscaping curb there that modifies it so that that right in, right out movement's more deliberate as opposed to just signing it. So
Can we make that like 2 feet tall?
yeah,
Can we make that island 2 feet tall so we know that they have to go right out? Just get
Right in, right out. I mean,
on High Road.
just, I always feel like we're worried about the weekends when everyone's here and this place isn't even open, or possibly Saturday mornings.
Yeah, sure.
But all the rest of the week, you would love to have a driveway there. And you know, I always feel like we're making parking lots for church on Easter and Christmas.
sure.
It just makes no. I don't understand why you even need the right in and right out. What's the matter with just a driveway?
How far back is that?
They had originally asked for a driveway there. We as staff had, from previous people looking at this property, had made the determination that we didn't want to promote an access at all onto High Road and wanted to have access onto Hughes Drive. If you recall, when we did the Hyper site, we have that kind of double drive that's up there. Initially, we were trying to get Hyper and Affinity to work together to have a shared drive. We weren't able to accomplish that, so we kind of came to this compromise of this split drive. Within our minds, you know, satisfying access to the site, but the project applicant would request that we allow it onto High Road as well.
About how far back is that from Cherry?
That is roughly 170 feet from Cherry and 100 feet from Hughes Drive. It's not perfect. That's what the SUDAS requirement is. There's maybe a foot, I think there was like 24 feet of width when you did those measurements, and that's 26. So, is it 169 and 99 potentially? We don't have too much heartache over that. It's in the right general location.
I'm in support of your, what you're saying, Luke, that it could be right in, right out, as long as it's pretty obvious. I think about is it Walmart in West Des Moines, right in, right out, that nobody pays any attention to. So I want it to be something that really forces people to do right in and right out. And while I appreciate Brian's comments, I think this has the potential to be cut through if there's not some requirement. Many of the tournaments are Thursday, and some will start Wednesday night, and many banks are open Saturday mornings. So I do think all of those things, I think this is a fair compromise for what they want and what we don't want. I think this meets that.
That calls out an island there anyway.
It does, yeah. So the triangle shape you see there, with the kind of dimensions measured off of it, would be a raised curb island. I believe would be all concrete pavement. It's not like an island where there'd be grass or anything in the middle of it. And we wouldn't want there to be any like plantings, because you've got to keep your site.
Put a statue or something in there.
That's your bed.
It's okay.
All right, any public comment? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve the resolution as presented?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Okay, motion by Cool, seconded by Baker. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Kalen, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Minneke,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Cool,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
All right, that motion carries. Item 7J is resolution approving the amended site plan of Norwalk Central Sports Complex. So we've talked about adding a pergola between the field house and Mullets, and council passed a resolution on October 2nd, to get the project started. This formalizes the site plan of where this is going to go. Luke, I'll let you take this one from here.
Yep, we just want something on file. Pergola is a permitted structure through the city. And with it being a commercial site, you guys review and approve commercial site plans. So you get to look at the pergola location. Usually we would handle a lot of these residentially in-house. So there it is. Lots of good visuals of what it'll look like. I think it'll be a good addition to our field house.
Yeah. Discussion, questions from council?
It's nice.
Any public comments?
Motion?
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, got a motion by Livingston, seconded by Cool. Kalen, would you please call roll?
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Cool,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Minneke,
Yes. All right, motion carries. Item 7K is resolution approving a contract with Black Diamond Landscaping LLC for the City State Bank Norwalk Fieldhouse Courtyard construction project. So Black Diamond Landscaping is going to be doing the construction of the site plan we just planned, or just passed, sorry. Carissa, if you have any information, I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah, just to confirm, this was from the initial passing of the design on October 2nd that the mayor just mentioned. And so project funding for this came in at $90,395. And then the potential addition of the third pergola that you saw in the photos. And so we'll be using the high impact grant, loss funding, park trust funding, that was all approved. And then Jean was able to confirm that we have some extra funding in furniture and fixtures to cover the overage and the final pergola to complete the project.
Awesome. Question, discussion from council? Or public comment?
Motion.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Second?
Got a motion by Baker, seconded by Livingston. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Kalen, would you call a roll?
Councilmember Cool,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Minneke,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Item 7L It's first reading of an ordinance amending various sections of the Norwalk City Code related to building permit fees, plan review fees, truck routes, tree height requirements, and rates and fees. So this change is being done to make some non-substantive changes to some ordinances prior to codification. Lindsay, I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah, per the ordinance, there was some changes to our rates and fees, which we've been to do probably about once a year, with 3 departments, building department, fire department, parks and rec. There was just some language changes in 2 different chapters for the building department. Tree height requirements, that was just to match one section to another in the code and to correct a street name in our truck routes section of the code. That's it.
Okay, discussion question from council or public comment?
Motion?
Right.
Second?
Motion by Livingston, seconded by Baker for the first reading. Kalen, would you please call roll?
Councilmember Livingston,
Yes.
Minneke,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Cool,
Yes.
All right, that motion carries. Since these are non-substantive changes, can I get a motion to waive the second and third reading?
Motion?
Second?
So motion by Livingston, seconded by Baker. Kalen, would you please call roll?
Councilmember Minneke,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Cool,
Yes.
Livingston.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Item 7M. It's first reading of an ordinance repealing and replacing chapter 35, Fire Department of the Norwalk City Code. So this change is being done to update language to make it more accurately represent how the department functions today. Chief, I'll let you take it.
Yeah, thank you. So we conducted a review of chapter 35. That starts by saying that we are a volunteer organization. So we wanted to make sure that we cleaned that up. To remove that terminology, we added definitions to be consistent with other city ordinances. The one other change that we did make was under the fire chief appointed, and that we changed that to say that the fire chief is appointed and dismissed with a majority of council, instead of giving the mayor sole discretion for dismissal. We also added contractual services and prescribed burns.
Discussion from council or public comment?
Motion?
Second?
Motion by Livingston, seconded by Cool. Kalen, would you call roll?
Councilmember Minneke,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Cool,
Yes.
Livingston.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Item 7N is final reading of an ordinance amending chapter 92, water rates, and chapter 177, rates and fees of Norwalk Municipal Code, providing for amended secondary irrigation water rates. So earlier in the year, council decided to establish a tiered rate structure for irrigation water rates. There were some unintended consequences to that action, so staff is suggesting to move to a flat rate for irrigation metered water. We're also starting to see attention drawn to irrigation across the metro as cities are seeing the costs of adding capacity through Central Iowa Water Works, who's our regional water authority. At our last meeting, the second reading of this ordinance was passed. Luke, anything to add? No. All right. Any discussion, question from council or public comment? Can I get a motion to approve the final reading?
Motion?
Second. Second. Motion by Livingston, seconded by Minneke. Any further discussion? Kalen, would you call roll?
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Cool,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Minneke,
Yes. All right, that motion carries. Item 7 is future agenda items. So the purpose for this is for council to give direction to staff by way of motion to have items placed on future agendas. It's not to talk about the merits of the subject matter. It's just to get it onto a future agenda so we can discuss the merits of the subject matter. Do we have any future agenda items for tonight? Hearing none, we'll move on. Item 8, council inquiries and staff updates. Just like to remind everybody that this is a portion of the meeting that's much less formal. You may hear some back and forth banter and joking around. We believe this can add build camaraderie and cohesiveness between staff and council. Jim? Nothing. Brian?
Nothing.
George? Nothing. Yeah.
At the waste management, we bought some new radios. 97 of them, I think. But it'll make the communication system of our assets accessible through the state system
Okay.
and allow us to communicate with all the entities in the state, basically.
That would be good.
And then we're gonna do the budget next month. We got a fee adjustment we're looking at that'll probably affect the western community if it happens. But anyway, it has to do with the cost of doing business at the Western Park. And then January 27th is a lobbying meeting. That'll probably be important to you. That's all.
All right. Thank you. Luke.
21 permits in the past month. That puts us on track for our average of 225. So we're kind of right on track where we were. The previous month really helped out a lot with that. We had 77. That was good. I participated this afternoon again with the MPO Funding Review Committee. We're looking at how the MPO hands out the federal dollars that they get. So some interesting thoughts and things that we can try and be more efficient with those federal dollars that maybe give us some more access to dollars to use locally. So some interesting things working on that. And then lastly, you approved a bunch of our fees updates for our community development building fees. We did not include that in that our permit fee. There's a whole calculation that's involved with figuring out what that should be and everything. And a big component of that is your budgeted expense for your department. So we haven't done this in the past, but what I plan to do start going forward is to look at our budgeted approved department budget after we get that done, and then bring a updated building permit fee to you all in the spring, and then have that be effective start at the fiscal year. So that will be forthcoming.
Thank you. Carrie.
Nothing tonight?
Wayne.
Nothing.
Chief.
Nothing?
Tony.
No.
Cops and carts, December 10th, 4 to 7 at Fairway. Please come and spend lots of money. Thank you.
Wednesday, right?
Wednesday the 10th.
Wednesday?
Wednesday, December 10th, 4 to 7 p.m.
Are there any challenges or?
I'm working on challenges right now. And I
Okay.
believe so,
Thanks.
because I was chastised last year by not asking soon enough.
Okay.
So I've asked.
All right. Well, good deal. All right. Holly.
I think all of our updates are in the monthly report in your pockets, but if you have any questions,
All right. Carissa.
Just highlighting the annual tree lighting event. That'll be Friday, December 5th at the City State Bank Norwalk Field House at 6 p.m. So come join that too.
All right. Gene Kelly.
No report. Thank you.
All right. Kaylin.
Nothing.
Lindsay.
No, thank you.
Jackie.
Nope, nothing for me. Thanks.
Few quick things. I wasn't sure if Carissa was gonna bring it up, but we were awarded a REAP grant for Trail 50th. George, you might have saw I sent you it and Carissa both an email today. That's to help us get that trail connection between Beardsley and Blooming Heights, Timberview, connecting that whole kind of island
Oh, wow.
development.
Nice.
So that's a pretty neat thing. That was working with Justin Ernst and Bolton and Mink. So we're excited to see that project gain some more traction in the future. Office closures, just a heads up that we're still working through that with some of our department heads with where Christmas falls and Thanksgiving, with coming back to work on a Friday. We're talking about actually closing the office to the public, but yet still having staff that need to come into work or want to take PTO time. So we're working through that, but we'll put out a notice, work with Ty to put something out to the public so they know when or when not to come to City Hall over that time. And the last thing, I'm going to piggyback a little bit on what Luke Paris pointed out about fees. I think it's probably good for the general public to understand that probably over the next several years, citizens, businesses should expect to see our fees continuing to increase significantly. In the past, things like building permit fees are somewhat offset just by general property taxes. You know, we all benefit from having safer buildings across the community. With more of a ratchet down on property taxes from our state legislature, we'll likely see some of those cost of services. So individuals doing construction projects will bear a larger cost of that actual service versus seeing some of those fees subsidized by property taxes. Just kind of an early heads up so that people are aware that those fees will climb.
Okay. I've sent council an email regarding Luke's review. Please get those filled out and sent back.
It's not done yet, though.
All right, good deal. All right, good deal. So get that done. And then the other thing I would say would be have a happy Thanksgiving next week. Enjoy your time off and time with family. So I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion. Second.
Motion by Cool, seconded by Baker. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so the same. We're adjourned, 6:57 PM.